Welcome to Lesson 1, which will introduce you to some general principles of risk management. Understanding what TRIMS is used for will make it easier to understand how TRIMS works. First, a little history. In the 1960s and 70s, many defense programs either failed or suffered significant cost and schedule overruns. In 1983, the Defense Science Board assembled a group of graybeards, taken from government, industry, and academia, to look at the problem. What they discovered was that it wasn't high technology that was killing us, but basic engineering discipline that we knew how to do. The DSB identified 47 major problem areas, which were grouped into 8 categories. These came to be known as the Willoughby templates and were published in DoD 4245.7-M. In 1986, the Best Manufacturing Practices program published NAVSO P-6071, which has since come to be known as the Best Practices book. This document takes each template and identifies the traps that companies fall into, the alarms that indicate you might be falling into a trap, and the best practices to help you escape those traps. In addition, each section also includes a list of questions that help identify whether a program is doing everything that it needs to do to avoid those risks. TRIMS process-based risk management is based on these checklist questions. Our methodology begins with the understanding that risk is a function of probability and effect. Probability is a function of past experience, and effect is a function of system architecture. The process of evaluating these on a program is called risk assessment. To actually do risk management, you have to add mitigation planning and tracking of the actions against your risks. The TRIMS tool can perform all of these functions, plus it has a few other workload reduction features. The next important aspect of our method is to recognize that cost and schedule issues are downstream indicators of technical issues, and technical risks are themselves derived from process issues. In other words, cost and schedule data tell you where you are. The quality of your processes tells you where you're going. Because of this relationship between process risks, product risks, and problems, they tend to be arrayed over the life of a program, as shown here. Process risks are most significant during the early phases of a program. Product risks are more significant in successive phases, and problems don't surface until later on. Here's another way of looking at the same thing. A failure of a process risk can lead to one or more product risks, and if they fail, they can cause any number of different problems. Most risk management techniques use a PF and CF approach, identifying the probability of a failure and the specific consequence of that failure. That works just fine when you're looking at these, but it doesn't work as well when you're looking at process risks, because there isn't just one specific effect for any given process failure. Still, while we may not know exactly what the negative impact will be if you skip a recommended engineering process, we do know that as a program transitions from one phase to the next, there's an exponential increase in the cost of mitigating risks or problems. Given that this is the case, it just makes sense to focus on process risks in the early stages of a program so that you can avoid more costly problems later on. The systems engineering model that exists in TRIMS today includes all of the original templates established by the Defense Science Board, as well as about 20 additional templates that we've added over the years. For example, back in 1985, environmental issues weren't considered all that important. Today, failure to dispose of hazardous waste properly can kill a program. The main risk object in TRIMS is the process risk, also known as a template after DoD 4245.7-M. Each template contains a series of SMART questions, which are essentially the questions that an expert would ask you if they were trying to determine your risk exposure in each process area. Templates can then be grouped into categories for easier organization. You're not limited to the models that come with the tool, however. We designed TRIMS to be flexible, so you can add your own questions, your own templates, or even entire categories. You can even start with a completely blank page and create your own model from scratch. In the next lesson, we'll begin looking at TRIMS and see how it really works.